Welcome back, lovely ladies. If you want to become the woman of your dreams, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. And join our Patreon for even more exclusive content. Now, let's dive into today's story.
Ethan exhaled heavily, rubbing at the dashboard of his silver Audi. He was parked at the curb near a small park in Springfield, scanning the area through the windshield. Figures the heater would conk out right now, he muttered, rolling down the window. A gust of bitter December air blasted through, stinging his cheeks. He was already anxious, and the cold did nothing to help. He double-checked his phone. Spencer had texted him an address somewhere in this neighborhood and told him it was urgent. When they'd spoken on the phone half an hour ago, Spencer had sounded frazzled and insisted he needed help, so Ethan hopped in his old car and tore down the highway from Amherst without a second thought. Truth be told, though they were both seniors in college and lived only a few miles apart back home, they hadn't spent much time together lately, not since freshman year, when they used to hang out constantly. "Where is he?" Ethan tapped the steering wheel nervously. Then he noticed a figure by the swings. A woman in a red velvet dress, layered with a black leather jacket, standing from the seat and heading toward his car. She was tall and lean, taking careful steps in stiletto ankle boots. At first, Ethan thought she was approaching him by mistake, looking for a rideshare. He pressed Spencer's number on his phone. That was when he saw the stranger holding a phone up to her ear. At the exact same moment, Spencer's voice came through his speaker. "Dude, I'm right here," Spencer said, voice echoing from the open window. Ethan nearly choked on his own breath. He peered out, gaping as the woman opened the passenger door and slid gracefully inside. A chill of disbelief swept over him. This was no random stranger. It was Spencer, hair somehow long and blonde, wearing a dress and heels. The makeup and form-fitting outfit looked nothing like the messy, paint-stained t-shirts that Spencer used to wear around campus. Spencer exhaled in relief, shutting the door. "Oh my gosh, your heater's out?" he asked, rubbing his hands together. "At least your seat warmer works." Ethan could only stare. "Spence, why are you dressed like that?" Spencer glanced away self-consciously, pulling at the dress's skirt to cover his thighs. "I'll explain later. Let's just go. I can't be out here." Ethan took a breath, nodded, then put the car in gear. They drove in tense silence, the only sound the rush of cold wind through the cracked window. When he finally mustered the courage, Ethan asked quietly, "Does your family know about you wearing dresses?" Spencer's eyes flicked to the road ahead. "My sisters know. My parents are a different story. Let's just say I'd rather not be home right now when I feel like this." Ethan digested that, recalling how shy Spencer used to be, the quiet art major who spent hours in the studio while Ethan was off playing intramural hockey. Spencer continued looking at the passing streetlights. Ethan risked a glance at him again, noticing every detail. The perfectly shaped wig, the precisely applied lipstick, a jacket that fit snugly over a slender form. Spencer had never seemed comfortable in the spotlight, but in this moment, he looked so poised that Ethan was stunned. Not sure what else to say, Ethan murmured, "You look really different." "Yeah," Spencer replied, voice tight. "Can we not talk about it too much right now?" "Sure," Ethan answered, turning the wheel toward the exit ramp that led to Spencer's neighborhood. They parked outside a modest one-story house. Spencer grabbed his purse and hopped out. Before he headed up the driveway, Ethan called out, "Hey, wait!" Spencer turned, his high-heeled boots crunching in thin ice. "What?" Ethan hesitated, uncertain. Part of him wanted to say something encouraging, but what came out was an awkward half-laugh. This was unexpected. If you ever want somewhere to, get ready or whatever without worrying about your family, you can use my apartment. Just saying." Spencer's eyes wavered. Okay, maybe sometime. Thanks. Then he disappeared inside, leaving Ethan in his car to wonder why he felt a pang of curiosity and something else, something he couldn't quite name. A couple of weeks later, the new semester at their college in Providence was underway. Ethan, now living off campus in a first-floor one-bedroom, had his own quiet place, which he mostly appreciated because it meant no more dorm food. One day he found a text from Spencer. "Hey, can I come by?" Ethan hesitated only a second before replying, "Yeah, sure." Within the hour, Spencer arrived carrying a suitcase and backpack. This time, Spencer was dressed in typical jeans and a sweatshirt, though he seemed nervous, glancing around Ethan's tidy living room. "Thanks for letting me come over," Spencer said softly, setting his bags down. "I was hoping, maybe, that offer you gave about me using your place still stands?" Ethan stared at the suitcase. "You mean to dress how you want?" "Yeah, I'm cool with it. Really." Relief flooded Spencer's face. "Great. Might take me a while to get ready." Ethan gave an encouraging nod. "Go for it. I'll be here." Spencer disappeared into the bedroom. Soon the shower was running. While waiting, Ethan tried to distract himself with a game on his console, but he couldn't focus. It was surreal, the realization that behind his door, Spencer was about to transform again. Ethan remembered just how striking he had looked that night. It made him uneasy and strangely intrigued. Half an hour later, Spencer emerged, a touch hesitant. This time he wore a casual outfit. Leggings, a loose cardigan, a simple t-shirt. A wig of brunette waves framed his face, and his makeup, while soft, gave him a warm glow. He looked more like a typical college girl preparing for a day of classes than some outlandish club-goer. "So, this is me," Spencer said quietly, hugging his arms. "It's a bit different from the dress you saw. I wanted to be comfortable." Ethan nodded, swallowing a sudden lump in his throat. "You look good. Like, really good. Let's, play something?" He gestured to his console. Spencer's smile was genuine. "I'd like that." They spent the afternoon battling each other in video games. Spencer was laughably off his normal skill level, complaining that his newly done nails made it impossible to press buttons properly. But they laughed about it, drank some cheap beer, and eventually forgot the strangeness of the situation. By the time Spencer was ready to pack up for the day, Ethan found himself saying, "You could leave some stuff here, if you want." Spencer paused, then shrugged. "Sure, might save me the trouble of hauling everything back and forth." "Exactly," Ethan agreed, inwardly surprised at how casual his own voice sounded. He liked having Spencer's presence around. It was odd, but it wasn't bad. As the weeks went by, Spencer began showing up more often. Some days he arrived dressed in his usual jeans and hoodies, rummaging in Ethan's closet for the clothes he was slowly accumulating there. Other times, he came over in a neat shirt or a sweater dress. Though Ethan didn't say it aloud, he never stopped noticing how meticulous Spencer was about his appearance. No stray threads or wrinkled seams. Each new dress or top seemed chosen with careful consideration. They settled into a routine of pizza, cheap beer, and gaming. When Spencer studied, he'd spread his notes on the coffee table while Ethan did push-ups on the living room floor. Sometimes Spencer would absent-mindedly comment on Ethan's exercise, telling him which yoga stretches might help if he was stiff. Yet they rarely addressed the deeper reality behind Spencer's cross-dressing. Maybe it was easier not to dig into it. Then Ethan treated Spencer to a small surprise. A couple of new skirts and tops delivered from an online store. Nothing extravagant, just enough to say, "I see you, and I don't mind this." When Spencer opened the package, he looked stunned. "Are you sure?" he asked. Ethan shrugged. "You help me around here. You cook sometimes. You do all the cleaning I'm too lazy to do." It's the least I can do. You said you wanted more variety. Spencer grinned and took the clothes gratefully, though with a hint of embarrassment. Thank you. Seriously. Those gestures, repeated in small ways, made Spencer more comfortable. He began wearing dresses and makeup in the apartment almost daily, sometimes glamorous, sometimes casual. And Ethan, to his own surprise, realized he found this version of Spencer compelling. Yet he told himself there was nothing strange about that. After all, they were just friends. One evening, Spencer showed up in a breezy red wrap dress, hair in a honey blonde wig that Ethan hadn't seen before. "This one's new," Spencer said, doing a little spin. "It's human hair, not synthetic. Crazy expensive, though." Ethan blinked at how natural it looked. "Wow, you look like someone I'd see downtown at a bar." He almost added, "and want to talk to," but stopped himself. Spencer's cheeks colored faintly beneath the tasteful blush. "Thanks. So I was hoping we could go out somewhere. I never really get a chance to wear this outside." Ethan set his jaw. "You mean in public? Like to a bar? Are you ready for that?" Spencer shifted. "Honestly, I don't know. But I can't hide inside forever. Could we maybe pick a place where nobody knows us? We could just grab coffee or something." They ended up driving to a quiet lounge off campus, hoping the Wednesday crowd would be minimal. Spencer was jittery, fiddling with his purse. Ethan tried to calm him as they walked into the subdued space. They found a table in the corner and each ordered a drink. A couple of glances drifted their way, but no one seemed to care. After a moment, Ethan said softly, "This place is all right, yeah?" Spencer nodded, exhaling. "I feel like I'm about to jump out of my skin, but it's not so bad." His lips curved in a nervous smile. "Thank you for doing this." Ethan tried to hide the swirl of warmth in his stomach. "Don't worry about it. Besides, half my hockey buddies go to the bigger pubs downtown. None of them come here. You're safe." Spencer lifted his glass. "Here's to surviving the night," he joked. They clinked glasses, the tension fading. They talked about classes, about Ethan's old dream of playing pro hockey, about Spencer's art projects. It was the first time in a while they had a genuine heart-to-heart. Spencer realized he felt strangely at ease in that moment, wearing a dress in public, with Ethan by his side. By the time they left, Spencer's anxiety had eased so much that, before getting in the car, he said, "That wasn't too scary, I guess." Ethan chuckled. "Nah, you did great. Did you want to do it again sometime?" Spencer gave him a friendly nudge. "Maybe, if you're up for it." They had no idea that life was about to get a lot more complicated. A few days later, Ethan got a text from someone he barely remembered. Sadie, an old friend from his hometown who had briefly moved overseas, then come back. They ran into each other by pure chance at the local mall. She recognized him immediately. Her laugh was as bright as he remembered. "Ethan Drysdale? It's been forever." She gave him a playful punch on the shoulder. "Sadie," he said, feeling that old mixture of fondness and caution. Back in high school, she'd been the fearless one who left for Europe on a whim. "I heard you left the country for a while." "I did," she shrugged. "Turns out it's expensive to live like a free spirit, so here I am, trying to figure out life in Providence these days." They ended up exchanging numbers and discovered they both had the afternoon free. Ethan was about to say he had errands, but Sadie insisted she could help him finish up faster. Soon, Ethan let slip that he was looking for some new items for a friend. The conversation touched on clothes, and Sadie's eyes lit up with curiosity. She pried out the story, that he'd been giving a friend some outfits, that this friend liked to experiment with style. Sadie, unstoppable, demanded to join next time and give real fashion insight. Ethan laughed, not sure how Spencer would feel about it. Only a few days later, Spencer was at Ethan's place, rummaging through a new order of clothes. Sadie arrived unannounced, bursting through the door with a wave. "Hope I'm not interrupting anything." Spencer froze on the spot in the living room, wearing a tight sweater dress. Ethan introduced them awkwardly, noticing Spencer's cheeks flush. But Sadie was unstoppable, greeting Spencer with an effusive grin. Within minutes, they were chattering about styles and shapes, about how to find the right look to highlight certain features. Sadie had an easy way of breaking the ice, and Spencer, though shy at first, found her energy infectious. By the end of the day, they were making plans to go out clothes shopping for real. Ethan watched all this from the sidelines, feeling a weird mix of relief that Sadie seemed supportive, and a touch of jealousy that he couldn't name. Over the following weeks, Sadie started inviting Spencer out on weekends, bars, clubs, even yoga classes she led. Sometimes Ethan tagged along. Other times, he stayed behind, feeling out of place, especially when he saw how well Spencer fit into Sadie's social circle. One night, they all ended up at a house party across town. Music pounded inside, a swirling crowd packed into every room. Sadie dragged Spencer onto the makeshift dance floor, arms overhead. Spencer, dressed that night in a sleek black top and matching skirt, laughed as Sadie tried to teach him a few moves. He wasn't used to dancing in heels, but Sadie's excitement drew him in. Ethan mostly hovered by the drink station, nursing cheap beer. He watched Spencer laugh and spin and realized there was something different in the way he moved. It was the same old friend he'd played video games with, yet not. On the drive home, a drowsy Spencer dozed in the passenger seat while Sadie chatted with Ethan about all sorts of nonsense. At one point, she glanced over her shoulder. "You know, the two of you make a sweet pair." Ethan felt his neck heat. "We're just friends." Sadie gave a mysterious smile. "All right, if you say so." A few more nights like that, and Ethan started grappling with unfamiliar feelings. Once, after dropping Sadie off, it was just him and Spencer alone in the car. Spencer had changed from his dance outfit to a comfy sweater Ethan had in the trunk. As they pulled up to Ethan's building, Spencer let out a sigh. "I'm exhausted. Mind if I crash here?" he asked, rubbing his eyes. "Sure," Ethan said, heart fluttering. This was nothing new. Spencer stayed over plenty of times. Yet tonight felt different. Spencer's hair was in a new wig, ginger-colored, shining under the hallway light. His cheeks were pink from the cold. He looked cute, was the word that slid into Ethan's mind. He swallowed hard, turning away. They ended up on the couch, flipping through TV channels until Spencer dozed off, head on Ethan's shoulder. The closeness made Ethan's pulse race, unbidden. He carefully shifted Spencer to lie down, draped a blanket over him, then retreated to his own room, thoughts spinning. Before he knew it, he was calling Spencer more often, finding excuses to have him over, or to go out for coffee, or to watch a local hockey game. Sadie noticed, teasing Ethan about how he was so eager to see Spencer. But Spencer remained oblivious, just happy for the company. Over time, Ethan convinced himself it was harmless, until the night the tension boiled over. They were at a small gathering, a few folks from Sadie's circle. An old deck of cards got pulled out, and people invented silly rules for a drinking game. It was loud and chaotic, flush with jokes and laughter. At one point, some over-the-top dare required Spencer and Ethan to share a playful kiss on the cheek. Everyone howled with laughter, but Ethan's stomach twisted in unexpected ways. Spencer blushed, looking mortified, but followed the dare, and the party carried on. Yet after that brief contact, Ethan couldn't stop thinking, did that mean anything? Later, with a bit too much alcohol swirling in them, they found themselves dancing in the crowded living room. The music pulsed, and people around them shouted and laughed. Spencer was giggling at some silly move Sadie was teaching him when Ethan stepped closer, wanting to join in. In the flurry of it all, a new track blared. Spencer turned, half stumbling, caught by Ethan's arms. For a moment they were face to face, the music roaring, the crowd pressing in. Then something in Ethan's mind snapped. He leaned in and planted a quick, uncertain kiss on Spencer's lips. Spencer froze, eyes going wide. It was fleeting, just a second, but Ethan instantly regretted it. He pulled back, face aflame. The entire moment was swallowed by the chaos of the party. Spencer gently pushed Ethan away, brows furrowed, before walking off in a daze. They barely spoke the rest of the night. A few days later, Spencer showed up at Ethan's apartment, expression unreadable. Ethan let him in, heart thudding. "You sure you want to be here?" Spencer nodded, dropping his bag. "Yeah, we need to talk. We can't just pretend nothing happened." Ethan lowered his gaze. "I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. I was confused. I don't even know what I'm doing half the time," Spencer admitted quietly. "Dressing like this isn't about romance. At least I didn't think it was. But I want you to know I'm not interested in that kind of relationship with a guy." Ethan nodded stiffly. "Sure, right." Spencer forced a small laugh. "I still see you as a friend. I don't want to lose that." Ethan looked up, hurt etched in his face, but tried to smile. "We're good," he lied. "I promise." But after that talk, the mood between them dimmed. Spencer stopped swinging by so often. He started spending more time with Sadie, who encouraged him to keep wearing what he liked, but also teased him kindly about Ethan's crush. Spencer brushed off her jokes, yet he couldn't deny that part of him felt a pang whenever he recalled that party. Eventually, the final break happened. Ethan, in a moment of mixed confusion and lingering feelings, tried again to force some intimacy, just a brief attempt at a kiss. Spencer jerked back and in a flash of frustration shouted, "Stop!" That night, Spencer packed up in a hurry, left the apartment, and cut off contact entirely. Days rolled into weeks. Ethan couldn't help but feel that a best friend had vanished from his life. He moped, half embarrassed, half angry at himself. Meanwhile, Sadie and Spencer grew closer. She had no issue with how Spencer liked to dress, joking that she finally had someone who'd go to yoga and brunch in matching leggings. One evening, Spencer confided in Sadie about everything. The night in Springfield when Ethan rescued him, the safe haven of Ethan's apartment, their closeness, and how tangled it all became. Sadie listened quietly, then simply embraced him. After a long pause, she suggested they go see more of the city, keep busy, and not dwell on regrets. Spencer agreed, grateful for the company and ignoring the pang of guilt whenever he remembered Ethan's crestfallen face. At the same time, Ethan tried returning to his old routine, hanging with old hockey buddies, scoping out parties to meet girls. Yet each time, something felt hollow. Part of him wanted to see Spencer again, to apologize, but the phone remained silent. Soon enough, he realized he had to accept the distance. Semester's end arrived. Both Spencer and Ethan planned to drive home to Western Massachusetts. One day, Ethan got a voicemail from Sadie. "Hey, I was wondering if you could give me and Spencer a ride back. My car's totaled, and it'd save us a ton of trouble if we all went together." He almost refused, but something in him relented. If they could manage a civil car ride, maybe it would give closure. He texted Sadie he'd do it. When the day came, he pulled up outside the dorm. Sadie helped Spencer load a couple of suitcases. Spencer seemed wary, but not hostile. "Hey," Ethan said quietly. "Hey," Spencer replied, almost inaudible. They set off. Sadie, in the back seat, kept up a cheerful commentary about random topics, trying to keep the mood comfortable. She and Spencer swapped jokes about some comedic show they'd seen. Ethan joined in once or twice, but mostly kept his eyes on the road. A faint relief washed over him. He realized it didn't sting as badly as before. Midway through the drive, Sadie asked, "Can we stop for a minute?" She directed them off the highway and into a neighborhood in Springfield. Ethan recognized it right away, the same area where he'd picked Spencer up that winter night. They parked near the small park, now lush with spring greenery. Spencer got out slowly, remembering the bleak scene months ago when he'd sat freezing in a red velvet dress. "So, this is where it all started," Sadie said, surveying the swings, the slide, the empty benches. "You got stranded here, and Ethan came to your rescue, right?" Spencer nodded. "Yeah. Feels like a long time ago," Ethan murmured. No one spoke for a moment. Finally, Sadie said, "Let's walk around." She nudged Spencer gently, and they meandered across the grass. Ethan stayed by the car at first, but soon found himself wandering after them. The air was mild. A soft breeze rustled the budding branches. Spencer stared at the swing set that had once been icy. He recalled how he'd been so afraid and cold, and how Ethan had driven hours to pick him up. It struck him that while life had gotten complicated between them, part of him still appreciated everything Ethan had done. Sadie gently took Spencer's hand, glancing back at Ethan. "I know things got messy, but maybe it's good we all ended up here again, to realize we're different people now." Ethan stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets. He looked at Spencer, noticing how he was wearing a simple floral blouse and black pants with flats. No fanfare. He looked calm. Spencer raised his gaze, meeting Ethan's eyes. A moment of unspoken understanding passed between them. "All right," Ethan said, nodding. "I guess we should get back on the road. Let's go." They piled back into the car and drove the rest of the way in relative ease. Sadie and Spencer would be dropped off at Spencer's parents' house, and Ethan had his own place to get to. By the time they arrived, the tension had softened into something gentler. Spencer stepped out with his bags, then paused. "Thank you, Ethan," he said, voice subdued but sincere. "For everything." Sadie flashed Ethan a small grin. "You're a good guy," she added. Ethan mustered a crooked smile, heart no longer twisting in knots. "Take care, both of you." The door shut, and the engine rumbled as Ethan drove off. Watching them in the side mirror, he thought about how it still hurt, but in a mellow, distant way, not the acute sting of earlier months. He found himself hoping they'd be happy. Maybe that was enough. Spencer stood at the edge of his driveway with Sadie, the car's tail lights shrinking down the road. She slipped her arm through his. "You okay?" He nodded. "Yeah, I will be." Sadie gave his arm a squeeze. "By the way, your parents are probably inside. Think they know you're dressing differently these days?" Spencer let out a shaky laugh. "They know I'm bringing a friend home, but not the rest. Guess they'll find out soon enough." Sadie kissed his cheek. "You've come a long way, you know. I'm here if you need me." With that, they walked up the front steps. A fresh spring wind rustled the trees overhead, the sun just beginning to set. In that rustling, Spencer felt a knot in his chest slowly unravel. He wasn't sure what the future held, but as he opened the door with Sadie beside him, something about it felt real and grounded. Maybe that was all he needed. He squeezed her hand. "Let's go in."
Did you like the story? Hit that like button and tell me what you thought in the comments. Do you want to hear more stories? Subscribe and hit the bell. For exclusive content and early access, check out our Patreon. You can find the link in the description, or you can watch any of the videos shown on my right. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.